All right, everybody, we're going to get started. So tonight we have a cool presentation, doing a little bit of design, a little bit of development. David and JoJo here are going to kind of tag team and show you guys how we do some skinning and some really cool effects for some new iOS 7 stuff. So I'm excited for them to show that off. My name's Anthony. I'm the mobile lead at Jackrabbit. I've been doing iOS for way too long now. I'm definitely an Apple fanboy. For this group, I think one of the best things is having a network of other people that do similar kinds of development. I know a lot of people are just getting started. Some people are pretty advanced. So I think one of the most powerful things is just having a group around here, the community. So we meet once a month up here, first Tuesday of every month. We also have a Facebook group. So feel free to share anything on there, questions. People range all over, so there's no stupid questions. Everyone is just learning. So reach out, meet the person next to you, and I'll let these guys kick it off. Cool. David.
So what we're going to do is I made this simple app with 2 tabs to demonstrate how you go from plain unskinned to something that looks custom. And so the first pane on here is just a contacts list, and the second one is just a list of pictures, collection view. And those are my friends who stole my phone last weekend, so I put their selfies up here. So JoJo is going to help get started on showing how to create assets for an app, and then I'll show how to plug them in and how to customize what they look like.
Should I come up there and plug in, or can
Yeah,
I just? Yeah,
you can plug in. That's probably the best. Let's see. But yeah, I think you just plug it in and it works.
Well, so I'm just going to go through a couple of my workflows. I'm doing them extra quick, just kind of specifically for this, but show you guys some cool things to check out and also quicker ways to export the assets for iOS or Android if you want to. So basically, the first thing that we're doing is we're going to do these kind of newsfeed cells for the contacts.
Yeah, so here's an app where we did a news feed that has card cells. And so what's special about these is that they the background is just one background image, and it stretches to any height and then also to any width. So if you went horizontal with your screen, it would stretch out too.
How do I fix the ratio? I can't see it.
Oh, because you
know what I mean?
So your tabs are off there. Yeah, I think if you go to display, change that optimization.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm basically going to show you how to make this asset and export it for a developer. So we're going to create a 20 by 20.
Actually, you should do it 50 by 50.
50 by 50?
Yeah. In the corner.
So basically, if you think of an unskinned table view, you just have a bunch of cells in a list. And everyone's seen the Facebook app, how they kind of have little cards. They look nice and pretty. That's basically what they're going to show you how to do here.
50-50 is optimal, is that design?
That's what, so basically what I would tell him is that I want the corners to be 20 pixels. And so so 20 pixels for every corner and then some space in the middle. That's how you make this asset for those views. So yeah.
So hold on, what do I do? Sorry. We practiced this sort of, but
yeah, so that's
it off on the screen.
That's cool.
That's cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except we want to do them white, right?
Yeah, but as far as size?
Yeah, size.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to show you guys, so I designed all this stuff, and it has effects on it that basically just gives it the look I want. So all I'm going to do is take this in here, copy the effects on top, and then, so it went from the black, well, I went from the black to now being this.
Yeah, and then so like to explain like the effects, you double click on there, right? Then like this, the effects is like changing these properties when you double click, so that's a Photoshop thing.
Yeah, so you can change the stroke, inside, outside, etc. So I'm going to export this, take the background off, and okay. So I'll show you guys. This is called Cut and Slice Me. I don't know if there's any designers in here, but it's kind of cool just to see. So Cut and Slice Me. It's basically a free plugin for Photoshop. If this will load. Yeah, so you can download it. And this is basically what it gives you. You can cut all the assets if you have like a UI kit or just a file. You have to go through and name them specifically, but you can cut all the assets. You can cut just the one you selected. You can also do Android, as well as web graphics, and I'll kind of show you a quick one how it goes. So save this on the desktop as background cell, and just basically press that. Spits it out into 1x and 2x. I think for this we're probably just doing 2x, which is Retina. Then, so that's the first asset. Next one I'm going to do are I guess the two icons, selfies and contacts.
So for the tab bars, right now it's just like circle square. He's gonna make some custom ones.
So just paste it in there. I have a file that's 50 by 50 still at 326. I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna export it out. Let me just save it. So this is contacts.
So when you hit cut selector, what does that actually do?
So it basically exports it really quickly at 1x and 2x, so it does all that for you, so you don't have to think about it.
Which is cool, because right now my workflow is like save for weapon devices and change to 50% zoom and then save it. And then do it again and rename, do different file name.
Yeah, so if you'll see, I just saved them both to the desktop, and then when I press cut selected, it just spits them into these folders for me, and you can see the 1x and the 2x. So if you're supporting, both versions, which I don't think we're doing.
So for Android, it shoots out probably like a bunch of like 16 different sizes.
Yeah, I can show you guys Android. So
Let's not worry about that.
just click here, and I'll just do that. And then it's just the HDPI, MDPI, XHDPI, and XXHDPI.
Do it one more time, but more slowly.
Which part?
So those are Android. So
Oh.
like
We're gonna
on,
do iPhone.
yeah. So on iOS, you have like the image.png and image at 2x.png. In Android, they have the same names, but they put them in like 5 different folders because there's like 5 different images. And so it puts them in the folders for you.
Yeah.
But you have to start with the highest resolution.
Right. You can size up. It's just gonna look happier. So yes. All right. So basically, those are all the only icons that we're going to be using. Then
Do we need to slow down now, or were you able to capture everything?
No, I was just teasing. Sorry.
so the other thing is for the background. Basically, in Photoshop, I just have iPhone 5 set up. So open it up. I'm going to show you this. This is pretty cool. If you guys are doing any personal work and you want some free pictures with no copyright. So Unsplash is definitely the best one. If you just go on here, you can download incredibly high resolution photos, and they're just free use. There's tons and tons of them. This guy, I think he puts 10 new ones up per week or something like that, and it's just from people submitting pictures. This is a newer one. It's called Gratisography. It's not as good, but just showing you in case maybe you can't find what you want on there. So anyways, we're just gonna take 2 photos, one for selfies and one for contacts. So pick this as a background.
So let's just do one.
Just one? Okay. So go into Photoshop, I'm gonna place the picture that I just downloaded. Just stretch it out a little bit. And for the blurred effect, I was showing him this the other day. On photographs, it's really easy. It's kind of what like a lot of iOS 7 design, they use lots of that in the background. It's basically all it is. You just put a Gaussian blur over it. There you go. Save this out as a PNG for the background.
And so like the links to those websites we'll put on the Facebook group at the end of today.
So that's pretty much all the assets. They emailed to him, he's gonna put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anybody have any questions? Was that helpful at all for you to see? They go too fast? Any of it makes sense? Yeah.
So a couple places that you might use something like that is, those placeholder images, they're just random nature images, like whatever you use something like that. But if you're building an app that a user might be uploading their own images to, such as if you, like the Facebook app having a header, that header section, before they upload anything, it's kind of just a blank gray section. So a lot of times when we do stuff that has stuff like that, we'll use these images for placeholders. So like these will show up first before you upload anything. Then you can replace it with your own, so you don't have that just empty spot that looks ugly. Also with like welcome graphics, splash pages, getting started pages, we'll throw in pretty little things in like that.
So can iOS 7 programmatically blur out the images, so they have to provide 2 different versions?
No, you can blurring. You can iOS 7 do.
You can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but I think I saw something on GitHub that does it.
There's no nice built-in way to do it. A couple people have put together their own frameworks for doing it. I heard there's some performance things around it where it's actually a lot of calculations go to make that blur effect. So kind of that cheating way to do it is just do a graphic for it. Use that.
Yeah. But I am going to show a thing later where when you make like the tab bar transparent, it's not actually transparent. It does like a blurred kind of look. So maybe just adapt that. Big tab bar.
Can I just add one thing? There's a third-party library called GPU Image that's out there that's really well done, really well documented. The guy who put it out there, his name's escaping me right now, but he was responsive on Twitter. So it's a good third-party library to look at. There's a Gaussian blur on there too. Yeah, right there.
Oh, cool.
How's the performance on it?
It's great.
It's great.
Yeah, you can do it even with like live video.
Nice.
Obviously, that's a little more intensive than just doing an image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this cool video recording app, and they have like the default view of where the UI is just like a blur of what's coming out of the camera, and so they have like the menu on top of a blurred camera.
That's cool.
Cool. All right.
Cool. So now I'm going to show you how to take those images and use them to customize your app. So here's our app that we are going to customize, and I've got like 3 things that I want to show, and each one of them is like 4 lines of code. So they're all really short things, but that I could see them being used in projects that you do all the time. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so yeah, the first thing we do is just set those tab bar images. Well, let me get the files first. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so we got this. I guess I'm just gonna take all three of these and put them on the side. I'm gonna put them here.
Big code.
Yes, let's put them right there so that we have access to them easily. Okay, so for this thing, first I'm going to show you the storyboard actually. So look at the storyboard. All right. Yeah. So anyway, so there's the main view controller is a tab bar controller, and then there's two tabs in it, and both of the tabs are navigation controllers, and then inside of the one for contacts, there's a table view controller, and there's a table view controller, and the one that has the selfies, there's a contact view controller, and so this is all the nibs are right here. Anyway. Okay, so to put in those images, all we have to do is go into here, into the tab bar item right here, and change this to be, let's see, wait, I guess it's, I don't know, is it 2 or is it 3? What am I? Okay. I'm losing the mouse. The mouse is only up here. Okay, yeah, so that's great. So yeah, so is it layer 2? Is that correct? Yeah, so layer 2 is this the contacts one? Yeah, so that worked out. Layer 2, and then for this one we're gonna put layer 3. Okay, now mouse just came back. Okay, so yeah, so we got those put into there, and let's see. So we'll just look at what that looks like by running it. There they are. But that's a pretty basic thing that's been, that hasn't changed since like iOS 4 or something, or even earlier. So, but now what I want to do is I want to customize those table view cells to be the card type cells, and then I want to have it so that you can see that background image we made behind it and around it. So the card view cells are going to be smaller, and so you'll be able to see the image behind it. So we're going to place that image, and then we're going to change the cells so you can actually see through. So to place that image, we just go to the main view controller, and right here in the view did load. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to set the background color as that image. So you can do that. So you can do color with pattern image. Yeah. So if you set the color as an image, you can do any image you want. And so we have that image named background. The problem right there, which you can already see, is that that's supposed to be background at 2x, or else it won't be able to find it. And then, so yeah, so now we have, that'll be our background when we run next time. And, but before I do that, I'm gonna show you how to make the actual card itself view. And so we're gonna go to the contacts, table view, and space. And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna create a image view and put it in the cell. And then we're going to make that image view have an image that can resize to different sizes. And yeah, so okay, so yeah, right there. Right. So okay, so like I said, we have a
It's still off.
Ah. Okay, so we're doing the image view. We're gonna call it background. Okay, I'm just gonna AirPlay. Okay, so now we'll only be able to have it on one screen though. So does that screen work? Does that screen work? Let's try.
See if you can do it.
Okay, well. Okay, and then I'll have to change the setting. So that's too complicated. Plug this back in. Anyway, so far we haven't done anything fancy yet.
I'll stand right here in case it goes out after holding it.
Okay, so yeah, so first thing we're gonna do is create that background view. So it's just a standard UI image view. We have to allocate, and then so we're going to init for the frame, and so here we have to pay attention. So standard 0, 0, that makes sense, and then for the width, we want to have it be the width of the table view, so that if you have the table view, if you tilt the device, the table view width will change, and so you also want to have the background view change. So that's
This is the background view for the specific cell.
Yeah. So right now we're in cell for table or cell for row at index path. So yeah. So right now we're doing every time a cell gets created, this gets called, and so we're setting the background for the first cell, for example. And so here we just take that and we get the width of that, and then this is 44 because it's a standard table view cell, it's 44 high. Okay, and then so now we're going to do the image, and the image is also special in this case, but so it's a UI image called background image. And so what we're going to do is, so this is a we're going to start off with image named like we did before, and this one's called round dash rectangle 1. So round dash dash 1. Okay.
Rounded.
Oh, it's rounded. Care program. Okay, so yeah, so we created that image, which is a really standard thing to do, but now what we're going to do is we're going to add on, we're going to use that image to generate a resizable image with cap insets. So what that does is it isolates the corners of the image and makes it so that those won't skew if the image view changes size, only the space in between the corners skews. And so you create that UI edge inset, and And so, like I told Jojo before, I told him we wanted 20 pixel corners. So 20 pixels converts to 10 points. And so that means we're going to put 10 for every corner. And so then that's the image. So this image can resize itself to any image view, and it'll look correct in anything. So then what we do is we take the background view and we set the image to be the background image. And so that connects those two. And then we have one more setting that we need to do to actually make it behave how we want, and that's it's called auto resizing mask. And that also goes on here. So we set the auto resizing mask, and that just tells the image view that we want to do resize. So that shows, so there's lots of different choices, but the one we care about is we want it to be flexible width, and we want it to have flexible height. So that will make it so that it behaves the way we want it to. And then the final thing we do is we insert it. We're going to insert the background view below the text label, which is, text label is the one that's showing our contact's name. Okay, so now that does that part, and then I'm going to add another thing to make it look a little better. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to do cell.alpha. So I'm going to make the cell a little transparent too, so that it lets you see more of the background. So I'm going to do that as 75. So once I have that done, we're going to take a look at this, and supposedly the contacts will be done the way we want, but okay, easy fix. Let's see, go back to the storyboard, and there will be, so right here, it's doing what we want it to do, but it's being blocked by these background being white. So make that clear, and that might fix it. This is why live coding is dangerous. There we go. So there those are. And,
It's supposed to be a little bit more transparent.
yeah.
Do you want to explain that block one more time, kind of what each of those lines do?
Yeah, so let's recap. So now it looks the way we want to, and just like that. So you can actually see that that picture in the background, and then it also resizes to the width if you turn it around. So, and then at this point I would send it back to Jordan and let him make those a little smaller, but it's the code is done. So then that'd be like a little cosmetic change. So going back, looking at what we did, it's just this little section here. We created the background view that adjusts to the width of the table, and then we created an image that goes into that image view, and that can adjust to any size of the image view and still look the way we want to.
Can you have the background image be textured? Can when it stretches, will the texture, will there be a repeat texture?
It will repeat, yes, it will repeat. And so, but you'd get a problem. So yeah, so basically what it does do is it does like a standard, like if you set a background with CSS, for example, it just like tiles it. It does that with the middle. So So the corners go to the corners, and then the middle gets tiled using the middle part. So if you had,
that's the patch 9 concept. If you think of a rectangle, if you break it down, you have 9 pieces. You have top 3, the middle 3, and the bottom 3. And when you resize in different ways, you start with a square, you resize the width, and then you resize the height. So those are stretching 2 different areas. So that's the powerful thing of the edge, the cap insets is here, is he's defining the area to not resize. So that preserves the corners, so we don't have some crazy skewing of the images.
so yeah, so if you knew, for example, that the image would always be a multiple of 5 points, or 5 pixels, either one, or 10, whatever. If you knew that the size would always be a multiple of a certain number, then you can make a texture that would be a multiple of that number, and it would line up, and it would look correct.
If you use like a linen texture, kind of like the iOS, you could have that tab repeat in the middle if the asset's big enough.
Yeah, that one works, yeah. Cool. So now we can see right here, we can see our beautiful tree there in the background. And then, but if we switch over to the selfies section, the selfies are blocking it. And so what we want to do is we want to make those also a little transparent, but that's still not going to be right because image transparent over image is just also not going to be the effect that we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to make them circles so that there's space around each cell. And circles are also like a cool, fashionable thing to do right now with images. so that's why we know about how to do. And but the cool thing about this is it's 1 line of code to turn the image view into a circle. And so that 1 line of code is going to go into the selfies view. We're going to go to the cell for item at index path, which is like the collection view. Collection views method that gets it's like the cell for row for collection views. So all we got to do is we're going to take our image, which if we look at our code, we can see that it's just called image view. So what we're going to do is we're going to take image view, and we're going to tell it. We're going to go to a layer, which is like which pixels get drawn to the screen when the image view gets put on the screen. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set a radius for the corners. So just like just with our card cells, they have little corners. If you took that to the extreme and made the corners go all the way to touch each other, it would be a circle. So rounded corners would turn into a circle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tell it that we want the corner radius to equal the half of the width. So if each corner's radius would be half of the width, then it will make a circle. And so we do the width and we divide it by 2. And so that will cut a square image view into a circle image view. And then one more thing, like I did before, I'm going to set the alpha to be 75 because that makes it a little transparent. And then we will be done customizing the selfies collection view. Okay, so then we got that. So now we have circles, and they're semi-transparent, and you can see the background there. And so the real reason I wanted to do this is because iOS 7 has this new thing, which you may have seen, called motion effect, which does this type of thing. So this looks kind of similar to what we have in our app here. We've got a background, we've got a little collection on top of it. So we're going to show you how to do that inside of your app to make it feel a little more more futuristic or something. Cool. So this is also going to go into the selfies collection. And so what you do is, this you can put in the view did load of the view that you want to have motion. And so what you do is, it's called a UI UI interpolating motion effect. And so these effects only go horizontal or vertical. So if you want to do both, you have to do each. You have to do those separately. So we're going to start off with a horizontal motion effect. And so you just create this effect. So you allocate it like normal, and so there's just two parameters that go into creating this effect. The first one is it's called the key path, and so that you have to read the documentation to see all the different things that you can choose here. But for doing a horizontal effect, you just use the center X, and then you have to set the type of effect, and then that's going to be, all our options are cut off, but we can see there it's horizontal. So yeah, so that's the one we want, and so that creates the effect. And but then there are actually a ton of other things you can customize, and one of them that we want to customize is actually the minimum maximum value, so that it doesn't go too crazy. And so we're going to do that by setting the minimum relative value of this effect. And then these aren't actually, they're not normal numbers, they have to be an object. So that's the notation for turning a number into an object. And then we're also going to set a maximum value, and we're going to make that 152. So that creates our effect. Yeah, so that's all you need to do to create the effect.
Is that 50%?
No, it's 50 points. 50 points, yeah. So basically it it sets the maximum amount of the.
What would it look like if it was big? Would it just kind of like go off the screen?
I actually haven't tested it yet, so we'll see. We'll see.
So right now, what are we moving here?
So whenever you move the device, the Apple calculates how much to move the view, and then this is where you want it to stop going farther. So like you just keep turning. Like if you once you go past a certain point, it doesn't move from its resting position.
Are we moving the background image, or are we moving the cells on top?
We're moving the cells on top. Yeah. So but you can decide. So we haven't actually defined that yet. We do that like this. We add the motion effect. So this is the actual part. This is when we actually define it here. So once we do that, then whenever there's a accelerometer change, then that view gets changed.
So basically, any view you can just add motion effect on top of.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is all the code then that you need to get that effect. But for maximum usefulness, we also want to do the Y. And so you can actually put these into groups, but the fastest way to do this right here is just copy and paste. Change this to vertical, change this to Y, and then copy this. Right. That's the fastest way to do that. And then it'll now be ready to play with. And so put this here. So now we got this, and right here I can move this around, and it's a little hard to see on the screen because you can see the front movement, but it's calculated really well so that from your perspective up here, it looks like the circles aren't moving and the background is moving. And you can look around the circles in a, So basically, the magic is in the actual calculations that that hook up the accelerometer to how much the view changes. But you don't have to know about that. You just have to know how to add it. And so yeah, so this is the look that we were going for. One more thing that I promised I would show is how to make the tab bars do that blurred effect. So the way you do that is you go to the storyboard and you go look at the here. So you go to the nav bar and you customize the nav bar. You change the bar tint, which should be, so bar tint right here to clear. And so that's, bar tint is the tint of the bar, which shouldn't be mixed up with tint, the one down here, which is the color of the buttons on the nav bar. So that was changed. So iOS 6, the tint was actually the background, and but now the tint is the foreground and the bar tint is the background. So we made that clear, and then we also could go down to this one, and we'll make
Let me do the before and after real quick and show them what it looks like without before you get the blur.
what do you mean? So I mean, so this is what it looks now.
Gotcha.
With no blur. So keep that on top while I'm working. So and then the other one is, just gotta find it. There's the nav bar. And then here we have, I'm gonna do the clear again. So that's make the nav bars. So we'll just stick with nav bars for now. So we're gonna look at the nav bars, and they're gonna be translucent, iOS 7 translucent, which is a little different. Oh, wait. Okay, so yeah, so basically, so they do that thing, which is blurry, and so that's called translucent. Actually, that's called transparent, even though I would call that more translucent, but that's transparent. And so that is a really cool effect that I like, and so you can do the same thing by setting the nav bars too.
Is that motion effect available on
Older devices?
just 4S and up? Is there, or because I know the parallax thing that comes with the iOS 7.
Yeah, I think it would be just iOS 7. So I think the 4 even has iOS 7, so it should work.
It works on the 4 because I had it before, but a lot of websites will recommend you turn it off because the 4 will bog down.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Cool. So yeah, that was what that was the effect we were going for, and that's how you do that.
Great. Can you apply the translucent effect to a view instead of just an nav bar?
You can. I know that you can because it's a UI view thing, or it's a UI view thing. I don't know what it actually looks like, but it is a UI view property.
So basically, just for like nav bars and toolbars, by default in iOS 7, if you change it to translucent, it just blurs it. Is that right? Like a view, if you make a view translucent, it might just make it see-through.
Yeah, it makes it like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. So this is just pretty much toolbars in iOS 7. They'll do that automatically.
Well, I don't know anymore what happens to, because so the tint color is like a view thing now. So tint is different than background. So we'd have to test it. But
So if you take off translucent and leave it clear, is it completely see-through?
so it is clear actually. So yeah, the tint color is clear color. This is clear color.
Right. So that translucent checkbox, if you uncheck that,
Ah. So that's so it's a translucent because it's a combination of translucent and clear color that makes this effect. Yeah.
Double clear.
Translucent and clear.
Double negative. All right, cool. I'll add something to your demo. You can say no. On a table view or a collection view, when like Pet Parent, when you scroll up, you hide the newsfeed bar or the toolbar at the top, kind of like how Facebook does it. Is that an easy thing to show off real quick? You can say no.
I think it's easy if I can take a peek at the source code because it's been a while since I did that. But yeah, it's a pretty.
That might just be a cool thing to show off real quick.
Yeah.
So if you guys know the new Facebook app, when you scroll, the top bar goes away. It's going to give you more reading room. I think that's a really cool, just small little detail, but really cool to throw into your app.
Let's find it. So this is copyrighted information. Don't look at it.
They can see about like 10% of the.
Okay. Don't copy. Watching you.
Okay, so yeah, so you have to add a scroll view delegate, and then you have to. This is it's a little complicated, but basically I can show them. I can
explain the high level.
Yeah, I can show you the high level. So if this is an app that we've been working on lately. It's called Pet Parent. And so here's the news feed. We showed you the card view before, but another cool thing is when you scroll down the news feed, the nav bar goes away, and then if you go back up, it comes back. And so this is pretty simple to do. So UI table view is a subclass of UI scroll view, and if you become a delegate of the UI scroll view, you get messages whenever certain activity happens with the scroll view. So for example, if someone scrolls up or someone drags up, all those different types of things, you can subscribe to those and you can run code whenever any of that happens. And so in this table view, we made the table view a scroll view delegate, and so it got the messages, got those messages, and whenever someone scrolls up, what it does is it changes the nav bar positioning so that it's off the screen. And because of the way the iOS 7 does the layering of navigation controllers, that the table view is actually under it. So when you put the nav bar up, the table view is right there, and it all works out nicely. So on iOS 6, though, it would just be a black. There would just be a black space if you move the nav bar away. But with iOS 7, the table view is actually under there. So basically, all you do is you just subscribe to the delegate of the scroll view, and whenever someone scrolls down, you move the nav bar off the screen, and whenever someone scrolls up, you bring it back down.
Very cool. So in any table view, you can just leverage the UI scroll view aspect of it, and then use those delegate methods, and when you notice somebody scrolls in one direction, move it off, other direction, move it back on. It's a cool little touch. All right, awesome.
Cool, and then so any questions? Questions on any of that?
For the reflector, is that the third-party app or is it?
The reflector?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a third-party app.
It just goes to your iPhone and just project it.
Yeah. So the way it works is you open up the app and you AirPlay from. So as soon as you open up the app, it changes some kind of type of setting file on your computer and makes it act like a Apple TV. Yeah, like an Apple TV basically. And then when you go onto your iPhone here, you'll have this Okay, so I don't know why it's even showing that there, but yeah, I think my screen is frozen. It's definitely it's after 8:04 now. Yeah, my screen is just frozen. But yeah, so let's see what happens when you plug it again. beach ball going.
So anyways, the idea of it is that with the iPhone, if you're on the same Wi-Fi point as an Apple TV, you can AirPlay to it, which is basically the only way that you can display your iPhone on like a TV here or another device that supports that. For some reason, by default, you can't do it to your laptop, so there's really no good way to record your iPhone screen. Like you can't run an app in the background and record your iPhone screen while you do something else and take a video of it. So a lot of times if you're doing demos, trying to show somebody how to do something, it's difficult. So what we do is we use this app called Reflector, which turns your MacBook into an Apple TV. So basically you just need your iPhone and your Mac on the same Wi-Fi point. You can AirPlay your phone to the Mac, and whatever's on your iPhone shows up on there, and then we'll screen record on the Mac. So it's kind of a hack workaround, but it works. So you play your phone to your Mac, and then you record the screen on your Mac. Then you can get video of an actual live phone. If you're using actual hardware, doing the UI motion stuff. That's how you capture those effects. So it's called Reflector, free trial, and they charge you like $10 if you let use it.
And then it's also cool, like if you want to do like a screencast of like a video app, you can't do that in the simulator, but you can do it in here. So looks like we're back. So store that. Yeah. So I put all the code for the stuff that I showed on a website, and I'll put that on the host developers. So you can have all that code and use it for whatever you think of.
A motion effect, all the things.
Yeah, don't do that.
Unnecessarily.
Don't look that. Cool.
Anybody have any questions for anything that he showed?
I do have one, just on storyboard.
Uh-huh.
Do you recommend approaching this type of project using storyboard, or do you recommend programmatically?
I actually never use storyboard. I just used it because it's a good way to like show the overview of the app for a presentation.
Okay.
But I don't like it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working on a team of people,
Right.
you can't merge storyboards really.
And the scaling aspects. I mean, it's great when you just have a few views, but I've found that the larger a project gets, it doesn't fit it.
Yeah.
But that's been my impression. So when
Yeah, I would say that's
using
good
I was
advice.
curious.
That's good advice. Yeah.
I have a dumb question. I noticed that when you set the background, you set it as a UI color with a pattern, rather than just setting the image.
Yeah.
Is that like a stylistic choice, or?
Let's see. It was this was a tab bar controller, and I don't think tab bar controller doesn't have a background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have a background, but it has a background color. Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you. Awesome. Well, feel free to hang out. We got some pizza left over and some drinks. Meet people around here and network. Before we officially close, I did want to open up the floor to see if anybody had any broader questions. If anyone's working on any projects or has something they want to ask the group for, or say, like, talk to me after for this kind of thing. Maybe working on any cool side projects. Feel free, open it for a couple minutes and see if there's any input.
Yeah. I talked to a couple people that had pretty cool apps that they're working.
Yeah.
Like you're working on what I thought was pretty cool. What he does is he gets the Yelp coffee shops around you and then filters out like Starbucks and all those, and only shares like the cool coffee shops.
Only indie coffee.
Yeah, so the indie coffee. Cool idea.
Anybody? Any requests for the group?
Hey, I've got one that I was working on today was when it comes to constraints on different screen sizes, because that was something I was about to update my app, and then I looked at it on a 3.5-inch iPhone, and it was just screwed. Like, does anybody have any good ways of dealing with that? Like, other than like putting everything in some scroll view so that it fits. I guess I'm wondering about like resizing elements dynamically. Like according to-
So yeah, so with auto layout is you're in a if you're an interface builder with auto layout, you can set a lot of things. So as long as you can make your thing small enough to fit in the 3.5-inch screen, then that will work.
Oh, so you can't like say like on a 3.5-inch screen, this thing just goes away.
No, well, no, you just
code.
you set the things, like for example, how far it's supposed to be from the bottom. And and then on the other hand, if you do want to programmatically just hack it so that it'll work for 2 different screens, you can also get the window frame and you can look at how tall it is, and that will tell you, and you can position accordingly.
Yeah. So you can either program it relatively so that it kind of auto scales itself, but you can also branch out. You can check what the hardware is that you're on. You can check that if you're on an older iPhone or a screen size, then do something different.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering because the constraints definitely like they push it away from an edge of an object of the screen, but not necessarily resize the object itself. So coming from like a web background, that was something I really wanted to do.
Right. Auto layout is so. Use it at your own risk.
I think I got it to work pretty well.
Yeah.
So like there's these 2 shortcuts that in the menu for auto layout, like one of them's like add missing constraints and the other one's like update frames. If you work with those 2 things, it'll like automatically put all the things you want in there, and then you can see if that's what you want. And then you can also like move things around and tell it to base the constraints off of what's on the screen now. So if you work with it, it can work.
It's more a question of material and whatnot. This is my first visit here to this course or class or meetup. And is there like an agenda or something that you put online that shows what the discussion is going to be to help?
So we don't have it mapped out yet, but I'm actually going to do a call for requests or presentations soon. So if anybody has any apps they want to show off or presentations they want to give or request some presentation to be given, submit it through there.
Yeah.
I do want to map up like the next few at least, so people know what's coming up. We can plan for that.
Yeah, and then maybe if there's code behind it that's posted or something.
Yeah, so
to kind of play with it.
So in the past, it's been more like case studies, like people presenting apps they're working on. But now I think more like we can still do that. But what I've been thinking about doing, and what I've started with, this is the first presentation kind of in a series, is figuring out like small tips that that you don't notice just working on normal projects that you can then apply to future projects. So like here, how to turn image view into a circle. Like that's a popular thing that's really being used in a lot of apps that we're working on, and it's really simple to do. But you can't look in the Apple documentation and look up how to make it a circle. So I want to share those types of things and put them into short presentations like this, and so, but the topics are open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my infancy stage, if you will, of doing some programming or whatnot, done a little bit. But when you're going through it, I really appreciate you showing like some of the code of what it means and some of the figures in terms of 0, 0 and what that means, and if you don't do it, or 44, or whatever is the standard, et cetera, as you go through those type of scenarios, just pointing them out is appreciative.
Cool, I'm glad that I got to do that.
The other cool thing real quick is that they're recording all these in here. So you'll be able to find this video online after, and if you want to review anything that he presented specifically. And then they'll keep like the list of the classes, so you can see like last time, 2 months before that, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'll put it on that webpage because I'm making like a page for every presentation. So I'll add that. Yeah.
What about like the documentation? There wasn't any documentation on your coding, but like what each one was doing.
Yeah, I don't have that detailed explanation, but
because if I came in there and I know nothing about coding at all, I have no idea what you're saying. But I can go into other people's coding and I'm like, okay, I can figure out what you're saying, and I know that looks like pretty good code. But I'm a recruiter, so it's a different might have a different viewpoint.
So, are you saying like more comments or?
Yeah, like maybe a class on like documenting.
Okay.
Comments is good.
Mhm.
It even helps with the recruiter.
Cool.
If you're wanting to get hired and they look at your stuff and you don't comment on that, just
Yeah,
like,
I want a job. But
Anyone working with iBeacon?
iBeacon. So that's been another hot topic.
I saw that mentioned on the.
Yeah. Anybody do anything cool with iBeacon?
So I posted that one article on the Facebook group, which I thought was pretty cool. It went into like some like the limitations and some actual details of like what it's sending out and what it looks like. But really, I think we should just like buy some iBeacons. Just until we do that, we don't know anything.
So I hope to have an in-depth presentation on iBeacon in an upcoming session. Definitely.
That's cool thing. And yeah, that kind of goes into the category of like things you're not using, but if you did know about them, they could probably be useful.
Yeah.
So if you have any general information on how you get started when we don't have no experience with iOS, like websites or books or.
So I guess it depends on the person what they like the best. I'm a big fan of Big Nerd Ranch. They have a series of books, and the iOS 7 version I think is coming out next month. So that's a really good one. Then when I got started, I used the lynda.com video intro. That goes, they start off with like how to install Xcode and all that. So that's called lynda.com.
Oh, Lynda.
Yeah. But Team Treehouse is another one that's interesting. But yeah, basically I just went on Amazon and looked at reviews and found one that was reviewed well, and then read the first section of it, and then bought it. That one's really good. The Big Nerd Ranch.
What do you think of Lynda?
I like the iOS course. I think it was like iOS 4 or something whenever I watched it. I don't know if they've updated it since then.
I got started on that as well, and like I think they did a good job of giving like a decent foundation, like very practical approach.
What about tips like we talked about today? Is there something like a Stack Overflow or iOS?
So I mean, Stack Overflow is really good. There's a lot of coverage of iOS. There are, once you want to get into more detailed things, there are a couple of websites that publish monthly or so on cool things. One of them is called NS Hipster. Another one's called Objective-C.io, I think. They got really cool things. And I also have the Hacker News search for iOS bookmarked. So that's a good place to see what repos people are sharing and things like that.
The iTunes EU course is pretty good too. If you check that out.
At the university?
Yeah, it's Stanford course.
Yeah.
RayWenderlich.com is another good one. Yeah, a lot of awesome tutorials.
What is it?
Ray Wenderlich. Can't tell you how to spell it. Just
Google
R and start writing it.
It's the green website.
Yeah.
Ray iOS, you probably find it.
But and then yeah, so there's so does anyone have any things other than iBeacon that they would be interested in?
SpriteKit.
What's that?
SpriteKit.
I don't.
SpriteKit, it's the 2D gaming engine that's new with iOS 7.
Cool.
So I played with it a little bit. Actually, I wrote like this really stupid, simple game that it was easier than I thought, and I have no game dev experience at all, so it might be something interesting.
How did you what tutorial did you use to get started with that? Because I'm trying to get my son programming and he wants to do games, so.
It was actually RayWenderlich.com. He has a great tutorial on there.
Does he, but his are all text, right? My kid's video oriented.
Oh, yep, it's all text.
Okay. I have a hard time getting him to send stuff.
Then I mean another cool thing that I would have recommended to myself once I got past the understanding the basics is if you look at parse.com, they have like a backend as a service. So they take care of all backend coding stuff. If you don't know other type of backend coding, or even if you just want a really good experience, working with Parse, you can do things like save data to a database, and you can just send push notifications and all these types of things that get to be more complicated, but useful. Or even saving location data, all this stuff they make, like using parse.com, you can do that all from inside your Objective-C code. And so they've also got tutorials that show how to use their service. So that's a big thing that I would recommend too.
P-A-R-S, Parse.
P-A-R-S-E.
It also has the portability to go onto all sorts of different platforms
beyond
just Objective-C.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've got Android, they've got Windows Phone, they've got a JavaScript SDK, and then there's like third-party PHP and probably Ruby. So like third parties have also made SDKs using their REST API. So basically, you can use you can send push notifications from JavaScript and all the types of things once you're using Parse. And they've got really cool talks also, because now they got bought by Facebook about a year ago, and so they basically took over Facebook developer section, and so they had Parse Day. I think it was in fall of last year. A ton of cool videos talking about how to use Parse on iOS mostly.
Do you know if they did the paper app that this came up with? That's
yeah, so I was reading on Quora, one of the main people that was doing did the paper app was someone from Parse.
That's a really cool app.
Yeah, really cool app, and also uses like a UI motion thing. So it's a cool app. And then Facebook and Parse together, they also released some type of like low level Objective-C thing called Bolt just recently. And it lets you do like chaining functions. So just like in JavaScript, you can what are called promises. You can instead of doing like nested callbacks, you do one after another, and so it makes the code neater. And they have a way to do that in Objective-C. So I haven't tried it out yet, but it looks really cool.
Is that reactive Cocoa? Or are you familiar with that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I also have an email trying to aggregate some ideas, topics, requests. If anybody wants to share anything, definitely let me know and I'll try to get scheduled. All right, well, thanks for coming out. Stick around, network a little bit, get some pizza.
Tell me about your apps.
Sounds like your apps.